You balance your checkbook. You balance your tires. You balance on 2 feet. Question for you. When's the last time you balanced your friend checkbook? This thought came to me again after quite some time. Had not thought about this in a long time, but I thought I would just kind of talk about it for a couple of seconds. CoreyAllenX here, as you all know by now. I'm having one of those pig fuck barbecue nights. One of my faculty members coined that phrase, pig fuck barbecue. What I have here is strawberry kiwi Ben & Jerry's. I had a bottle of wine that I was working on for a while. I'm drinking beer, so it's a night of booze. I might actually crack open the Jameson as well. So, balancing my checkbook today. I'm looking at it. And I'm thinking to myself, okay, I have this in check. I have this in check. And it reminded me of this theory that I had come up with when I was maybe 19 or 20 years old. And I had left it behind for a good while. And now I'm revisiting it because I do believe that it has some value. Do you think about various relationships? Do you get out of your relationships what you're putting into them? This is my theory. My theory is relationships, whatever kind of relationships we're talking about here, platonic friendships, romantic entanglements, marriages, fraternal relationships, relationship with your parents, whatever it is. You get out of that relationship what you put into it. And this idea came to me when I was, like I said, 19 or 20 years old, that all relationships are basically an account. All of our relationships are a series of accounts. And we are always making deposits or withdrawals from those accounts. You spend quality time with someone, you speak with them, you have communication of some kind with them, you're making a deposit into that account. You share life experience, you're there to support one another. The time that you devote to the relationship, the attention that you put on the relationship, the love, whatever have you, that's the deposit. You make those deposits into that relationship. The things that withdraw money from this account, everyday wear and tear, distance that comes up, misunderstandings that come up, arguments, fights, any of those things that cause friction. Friction, you're taking withdrawals from that account. Now, if you're constantly adding money into it, if you've got that direct deposit relationship where every week there's a little bit out of your check that gets sucked out and plopped into that account, well, then you've always got a surplus of money, or you've got money in that account to pay for those expenses, for those aggravating fights, for those days when you get offended by the other person, for the day that they forget your birthday, or you forget their birthday, or you call them out of their name, any of those things. That money's in there. When you don't have that money, that's when the problem sets in. How many of you are in relationships where this shared account is comprised solely of contributions that you have made? You're the person who always has to make the phone call. You're the person who always has to pay for dinner when you go out to eat. You're the person who has to remind the other person that you had a date or a planned meeting that you were supposed to have. You're the person who is responsible for always listening to the other person, never being able to share what's going on in your own life. That money's coming out, coming out, and the other person isn't making any contributions to that relationship account. How many of you are in those relationships? How many of you have had those relationships? Well, we're going to raise our hands if you can see it, because I too have had those relationships. And you know what? The conclusion that I came to is that it's time to close those accounts. You heard me. If the account has gone into default, it's time to close the account. Now, don't get me wrong here. I understand that we are all just people. All just people. And we're all trying to make it through life, trying to figure out what the fuck's going on, trying to figure out who we are, where we're going. And sometimes our relationships with other people suffer because of those things. You're trying to figure out who you are, you're trying to figure out what's best for you, and you're not always thinking about what is best for someone else. But I firmly believe that if you're going to have a relationship with someone, that you should cherish the relationship that you have. I've never had lots and lots and lots and lots of friends around me. As a matter of fact, I find myself when I'm in large groups of people, I find it tiring because you don't really get to have any one-on-one contact with another person. But the friends that I do have, and the friends that I have had and that I've held for a long period of time, I cherish them. And they become extensions of myself, parts of my family. And I value their opinions, I value their time. And I make sure that I'm always, even when I'm busy, I try to make a long distance deposit. You know, send someone a card, send someone a letter, send someone an email, make a phone call to them. But as I'm, balancing this checkbook, I'm saying, you know what, I have to remind myself. I have to remind myself that, you know what? If the other person isn't making the deposits, you're not responsible for keeping the account open. Yeah? You get my meaning? Because so many people out there will say, you know what? I'm not going to put out the effort because I know the other person's going to. Yep. And that other person, that sucker, might be you. It might well be you. So, you don't have to wait till the beginning of the year to come up with a New Year's resolution, a mid-year resolution. You don't have to wait until January for a mid-year resolution. Check your accounts, balance your accounts, and if they've gone into default, close those accounts. If you want to open a new account with me, let me know. This is really good. It's ridiculous how good this is. Strawberry kiwi swirl sorbet. Ridiculous. All right. Leave your comments.